Good morning, beloveds. How are you? It's wonderful to see all of you this morning. I'm Dr. Frank Zamalan. Dr. Terry and I want to welcome you to Awakening Ways Spiritual Community. You know, as we go through the times that we're living in, it's nice to know that there's a place where the truth is always spoken, and we can know that that truth transcends any apparent conditions in the world. There is a divine source that underlies all of reality. It's what physicist David Bohm calls the implicate universe, that connects everything in the entire universe as part of itself. It is all one. And each of us is part of that one. The job here, as we see it at Awakening Ways, is to awaken us to that one within us. See, God is not a question of communicating with something outside of ourselves. It's about communicating with something inside ourselves, that divine source that is always there with us. And so all the great mystical traditions of the world, that golden thread of truth, have taught that there is a way to get there, a way to awaken to your own divinity, a way to awaken to that which is within you. Here at Awakening Ways, we believe it's our job to help you awaken, to find as many ways as we can to help you awaken. And we do that through Sunday gatherings like this, whether on Zoom or whether in real life later on. We do it through classes, through workshops, through wonderful music, through meditations when we're able to get back to the building, to our offices. We do it through one-to-one counseling with our practitioners and our ministers. We do it in every way we can possibly think of. And that is our job. Your job is to do the work of awakening. That's your whole job, is to awaken. All of us came here by different paths. We all came here from our own unique path. There are as many ways to awaken as there are human beings on the path of awakening. But at some time, all of us need spiritual community to be able to help us to awaken, to unfold. You came here your own unique way. Today you're here. Today you're here with us. So for this sacred moment, welcome home. We've been waiting for you. So we have a wonderful day planned for us this morning with Terry's wonderful talk. So let's just enter into that consciousness that we need to be in to really prepare ourselves to open to it. Let's close our eyes for a moment, if you will. Take a deep breath. Move into that place of love and of perfect consciousness. And know with me that there is one divine source of all life, of all love, of all consciousness in the universe. That one, by whatever name we call it, is the divine. It is the universal consciousness itself. It is who I am. It is who each and every one of us is. And it is in that consciousness of truth and love that we awaken to the divine, that we come to the divine, that we connect, reconnect with the divine in every way. Right now, this morning, I know that Terry's words come from that deep place of divine consciousness within her. And I know that she uplifts each of us with her words. I know that the music that we have this morning is done in those divine harmonies of the Most High, as we are lifted by the music higher and higher. I know that each of us here on this call brings our own unique consciousness, our own unique energy, lifting one another so that each and all of us is right now, this very moment, awakening to the divine within us. And for that, we are so grateful. So grateful. It is happening right here and right now. There's nothing more to do but say, and so it is. Amen.
I dreamed of rain and the rains came, soft and easy, sweet and clear. I dreamed of rain and the rains came, peace spread over the land. I dreamed of summer and the winds changed, and the dream was easy. I dreamed of summer and the winds changed, and he spread over the land, and the flowers bloom in the desert, and the air was fresher and clear. I dreamed of rain and the rains came, and he spread over the land. I dreamed of heaven and the earth sang, and down was easy, and the song was clear. I dreamed of heaven and the earth sang, and peace spread over the land, and the flowers bloom in the desert, and the air is fresh and clear. I dreamed of rain and the rains came, and peace spread over the land. Raining! Grab your jacket, let's go out and play. I can catch drops in my mouth. And the flowers bloom in the desert, and the air is fresh and clear. I dreamed of rain and the rains came, and peace spread over the land, and peace spread over the land. Whoa, I'm sailing away!
Namaste, everyone. The light and love of the divine in me honors and greets the light and love of the divine in each and every one of you here this morning. It's another beautiful day. And isn't each day in its own way beautiful? And thank you, Jimmy, for that great song. We know why you sang that song, because we asked Jim to sing that song when we need rain. And I have a feeling that rain is on its way. So thank you, Jimmy. Appreciate that so, so very much. So this is the first Sunday in a new month. Another month has come and gone. And here we are in a brand new month. And in this month, we are looking at the concept of growth. And really, truly, no talk about growth is complete without a story about a chicken and eggs and all of that. And so, if you're ready, here's the story. So, a piece of toast and a hard boiled egg walked into a bar. And the bartender said, "I'm sorry, we don't serve breakfast here." I'm sorry, I could not resist that story. It made me laugh, and we all need to laugh. So that's the chicken and the egg story. But I really am talking about chickens and eggs this morning. That's what's so funny, because I was remembering when I was a child witnessing, a little chick come out of an egg. And I thought it was such an amazing thing. Children are so filled with awe. And I remember just thinking, how is that possible that that thing is in that little smooth oval, smooth and so white and pure? How did that chicken get in there? And it was like amazing and beautiful and magical and just such a wonderful experience for me to watch from my perspective. The perspective of the little chick, however, was quite different than mine. The little chick on the inside of the egg had a totally different experience. This little creature who had lived in this perfect place, this egg, for its whole existence, for its whole life, that short time that it had been on the planet, had lived in this perfect oval home. And it was safe and it was warm and it was cozy and it could eat, and it was just absolutely perfect. Except that the chick kept growing. Every day it would grow a little bit more, and every day that egg kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller, until that time came when, it's not like the chicken wakes up one morning and says, "Oh, I think I'm going to be born today." It's a little different than that. But the time came when the little chick was so cramped and so uncomfortable, and there was so much pressure put on that little body, that the chick needed to decide whether to leave the egg or to lose its life. That's the harsh reality, but that is the truth. And actually, it's the truth of birth in general, isn't it? All life forms kind of have to make that choice. They have to choose. They have to decide to come out and work their way into the world. For the chick, the work was breaking through that shell and cracking it open so that it could, it could live and enter into the world. For people, it's working our way through that birth canal, as infants. And so birth, growth, it's all like that. And life itself is just kind of from the time we are conceived until we leave this planet. All of life is this process of growth and change and transformation. And we have gone through changes and transformations, growth experiences mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, our entire lives. And as I look back on my life, I remember that it really wasn't fun all the time. It was often very uncomfortable, kind of like that chick, right? I was thinking about, when we're just really young children, And we are so tender and we're so fragile and we can be hurt so very easily. Or when we move into our teens and we are emotionally and physically, well, actually every one of our senses, we're just traumatized. All of our senses are heightened during that time, and it's a rough time to go through. Think about that first job you had and that the fear and trepidation of actually getting out there and going to work, and what it felt like when you finally did graduate, whether high school, college, whatever it was, when you realized that this is it. I have to go out and become an adult and work for the rest of my life, or having children. I mean, these were all growth experiences. And yes, absolutely, many of them were not fun. But here's the thing. What was the alternative to experiencing those growths, those times in our lives? What could we have done differently other than grow and transform? Well, I guess we could have stayed in our shell. We could have stayed in our shell. And thinking about this, I don't take it lightly, because I realize that as I look back on my own life, that there were times spiritually and emotionally when I absolutely know that I chose to stay cramped and stifled and uncomfortable rather than be brave and courageous and step forward and change. It was just too hard. And so I just stayed in that place of discomfort and dis-ease for as long as it took, for as long as it took for me to change. I stayed in relationships too long. I had emotions that I bottled up and stuffed. Um, I chose to do things that were easy and convenient rather than often doing what I knew was better and right. These were all choices that I made, and they were all, I call them eggshell experiences, because I chose to stay in them rather than be courageous enough to change. Well, I don't think that I'm the only one that has done this, and actually, I'm talking about spiritual and emotional um, eggshell experiences. And in honoring myself, I have to say that for the most part, I eventually did peck my way out of out of most of those shell experiences. It took time, but I did eventually peck my way out. And every time I was able to do that, it really was like being reborn. It was like, literally like, being able to stretch your little wings like the little chick does. Spiritually, we can resist change as well. And what that looks like is that we won't change spiritually if we're not courageous enough to step forward and make those changes. We have to be willing to move beyond our old fears and doubts. And that is absolutely not easy. It's not easy. I was thinking about when I first came into New Thought and the New Thought teachings. And, there's a lot of emphasis on oneness. There's a lot of emphasis on how spirit and God and the divine lives within each and every one of us. And so I had to change that whole concept, how everything was good. There really is no evil. It's just the way you look at things. And frankly, when these thoughts and ideas and beliefs started coming at me, I could hear this little Catholic bell, ringing in my head that said, "Oh no, 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 this is wrong. we don't believe this. This is not what you were taught. And so I had to be courageous enough to move through that, to move beyond that, to move past that, so that I could create a new life for myself, new beliefs, transform myself, and grow in that way. Our friend Reverend David Leonard says this. It's just such a wonderful quote. He said, "When the pain of staying becomes greater than the pain of leaving, we will go." So, in other words, when the pain of being where we are becomes greater than our fear of change, we will make the change. Does this make sense? It certainly does to me, that we have to, one has to overcome the other, that we have to allow our courage to overcome our fear, our desire to change become more powerful than our fear of it. And when we change, whenever we change, we grow. Ernest Holmes said this. He said, "The universe is pushing us forward. It does this because it must. There is no retrogression in God. Mind is forever evolving new ideas, and these ideas are forever urging us on to greater and greater good. The law of life is the law of growth, expansion, and increase." And I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to stop here for just a moment because I need to talk to Frank. Would you please ask them to turn that off?
Yes, I will.
We have an agreement here with our neighbor that he won't turn on his leaf blower on Sunday mornings between 10 and 11:30.
That's not him, that's his gardener.
And that's not what's happening at the moment. And I'm going to grow through this experience. So he's going to take care of it. And I apologize. So let me just read this again. The law of life is the law of growth, expansion, and increase. The law of growth. It's the law of life. And what we are dealing with right now is we are living through such tumultuous times, right? So many trauma dramas going on, it seems. And of course, there's COVID. COVID is ever present because and it plays like it's up close and personal and right in the forefront because it affects everything that we do, everything that we do. And so I think that as we look at that, we can see, I think we can probably all agree that all of us have grown and are growing and changing as a result of COVID. There's just no question about it. But having said that, I wanted to talk about maybe some specific growths or changes or transformations that have taken place. And these are my own personal observations. All of you have your own unique ways of experiencing life in times of COVID. But these are some of mine. And what I realized first and foremost was that I had to find a new meaning, personal meaning for the word COVID, because I hear that word and it just, I don't feel happy about it. And so here's my new definition of the word COVID. COVID now stands for, in my world, creating one vast, incredible destiny. COVID. Creating one vast, incredible destiny. That's a pandemic I can live with. That is a wonderful idea to carry in mind. And yet it has, it is, the acronym for that phrase is the same. And so I also wanted to say that, and this probably many of you will not agree with me about this, and that's wonderful. That's great. But I do believe that COVID is a blessing. It is a divine blessing. And although people have lost their lives and families are suffering, and I feel that pain, and that is not what I'm saying, that is not good and glorious and wonderful. What I am saying is that this experience is on such a scale that it has to be divine in origin. It just has to be. You know, we say God is in everything. And so what we know and we talk about here is that God is in this too. And so for me, the reason that I believe that it is a blessing is because this, you know, the word pandemic or this happening, this experience, whatever we want to call it, is an opportunity for us to become the kind, caring, loving, compassionate people that we were born to be. It is our opportunity to literally experience the oneness of all life, to recognize that we are connected in ways that we had no idea of, that we truly, absolutely do, without question, breathe the same air. Everyone and everything breathing the same air. And so this is still our opportunity to grow in consciousness, to grow in ways of communing and in relationship with others through this experience of COVID. I'm not seeing a lot of this happen. We haven't really moved beyond divisiveness, really. That divisiveness is still there. And that's exactly what I feel this experience gives us an opportunity to move past, beyond, and through. But, you know, time will tell. And I'm hopeful that this experience will, in the end, expand and grow us in consciousness in ways that we never really expected, in good ways. Another thing that COVID has taught me is that slow, SLOW, is good. SLO is good too. San Luis Obispo is good too, but I'm talking about slow moving. Slow is good. And I thought about when COVID first happened. Let's go back in the Wayback Machine, shall we, for just a minute? Remember when it was announced that this was happening and everybody panicked and they ran to the grocery store and they ran out there to gather as much stuff as they possibly can, like they had to stock up for the next 6 months because they were going to be living in a cabin in the woods, you know, without any way to get any supplies for the next 6 months. You know, it was just astounding. We all experienced that at a certain level, but then eventually, you know, things calmed down. Things calmed down and people began to adjust to this new way of living, this slow way of living. And quite frankly, I really like this new way of living. It's not that I don't want to go back to old things and old ways of doing things, but for me, what happened is that, and understand, I am going to throw this in here because in the middle of COVID, Frank and I, in our brilliance, decided to sell our house and buy another one and completely change our lifestyle. And you were all there when it happened. And so you remember how that went. But when all things settle down in our lives, I know that for me, I was so grateful that we were sheltering in place, because it allowed me to just breathe slower. I still had things I had to get done, but I didn't have to do them in a haphazard, quick rush, rush, rush. I could do them more slowly and in a more unstructured way. And I began to look out at life and just, oh, I remember the fall. We had moved into our new home here in the fall. And so we were kind of settling in when the leaves started changing. And it was glorious, I have to say. I, I because we were here and there are so many trees here where we live, I could literally watch the leaves change colors every day. Every day the shades would be just a little more subtle. And then when they finally did change altogether, and the leaves decided it was time to leave the trees, and the wind would blow them in the air and down to the ground, I could see that too. And it was wonderful. It was wonderful. And I know that I would have missed that if I hadn't been here, if I hadn't been slowing myself down to even notice. I never would have noticed. I would have noticed leaves changing, of course, in the past, but not in this way. And when Christmas came, and people were putting out their cute little Christmas decorations out on the lawn, I noticed every single one, and the detail and the colors in every single one. This is a gift. This is wonderful, and it is the gift of slowing down and of paying attention. And this experience of COVID has brought that to me. The other thing that I've learned, and that Spirit has brought me, is that, and if you don't know what this means, I'll tell you, I've learned that Spirit is truly my BFF. And if you don't know what BFF is, it's best friend forever. You know, when kids text on their phones, they put all those little letters on there instead of words so they can do it quickly. And so BFF stands for best friend forever. And being here as a result of COVID, I had, I'm like you. I can't rely on being with my friends and with other human beings to get that physical and spiritual and emotional uplift from being with them. I mean, I can talk on the phone, I can Zoom, and that's thank goodness for that. But it's different. It's not the same. And so because I couldn't go out and get that, guess what? I had nowhere to go but within. And this is good. This is very good. And so what it meant for me was I had and still have the opportunity to deepen my relationship with the divine. I've always had a relationship, my prayers and meditation, going on walks, other quiet times spent in conscious union with the divine have been a part of my life for many, many, many years. But now, because things are slower and more quiet, I realize that, I can make soup with God. I can bake cookies with God. I can fold clothes with God. I can even sweep the floor, which honestly, I feel like I'm doing endlessly, but I can sweep the floor with the divine. This was a wonderful opportunity to just kind of add that extra piece of the relationship with the divine. Because for all of us, we experience the divine, we experience God in a personal way. And we can experience it in whatever way we choose. Sometimes God is a teacher. Sometimes God is a parent. Sometimes God is just a companion and a comforter. And sometimes God can just be your very best friend. And so I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for that. The other thing that I've learned is that COVID is our teacher. And I came across this quote from Benedictine Sister Joan Chittister, and she's very well-known spiritual teacher. And she says, the harvest of youth is achievement. The harvest of middle age is perspective. And the harvest of age is wisdom. So I took what she said and I decided that I think the harvest of COVID is awareness. Awareness. You know, the world, if you look out there, the world has become aware that it is vulnerable. It is vulnerable. It has discovered that the tiniest of things can bring this world to its knees. We've seen it. We are witnessing it. It has discovered that people matter in the scheme of things. Each and every person matters. And the awareness is that what I do matters to your life. This is a critical piece of information. This is a critical awareness. We talk about the butterfly effect. Well, this is the real deal. That if I choose to do things that aren't safe out in the world, I can affect other people by my haphazard behavior. Wow. Before it was just an idea. Now it is a reality. This is an amazing reality. The other thing that I think is valuable is that, you know, this is a worldwide experience. And when you hear about what's going on in other countries, what you realize is that we are so much more alike than we are different. It doesn't really matter what country you're from. We're all experiencing the same kinds of things. Why? Because we're all sharing the same planet and we're all experiencing the same virus, if you want to call that. So these were my gifts that I got from COVID. And you know what the end result will be and how much we learn from this teacher that we call COVID? However much we learn will determine the direction, literally, of the human race. So I think it will serve us well to just pay attention, stay aware, and keep growing and keep learning. Remember that the law of life is the law of growth, and it's the law of expansion and increase. And there are subtle signs that this expansion and increase are happening right now, everywhere. Frank and I were at a restaurant the other day where you could dine outside, and we were waiting for a table and just kind of standing around and noticing people who were eating. And I noticed a couple and that were eating, and they looked like they were deeply engrossed in conversation. They looked like they were friends, that a man and a woman. They had known each other for a long time. Clearly, it looked like they were smiling and looked like they were having the most amiable conversation. And we had to walk right by their table to get to our table. And when we sat down, Frank said, "Did you see that couple that we just passed?" And I said, "Yeah, I did." And he said, he said, "You're not going to believe what I heard when I walked by there." He said, "What I heard the man say to the woman was, now, the agreement is for spousal support only, not lawyer fees, right?" And the woman said, "Absolutely. That was absolutely our agreement. And I don't know why these lawyers are not doing what we asked." Okay, in a million years, I never would have guessed that this couple were talking about their divorce. You know, divorces are in your mindset, you think pretty contentious. I've been through one. It was not a warm, kind, loving experience. But these two people clearly had grown into a spiritual, mental, and emotional maturity where they were able to have these conversations from a place of loving kindness and appreciation of one another. And I think that was just, it made me feel so hopeful and so positive about possibilities, and how wonderful it would be if we could all do that, if all couples and families could relate to one another like these two did. They were clearly not getting back together, but they were also clearly still in a love connection. So, an amazing experience. I wanted to share one other thing that I ran across. Maybe you've seen it. It's teddy bear hunts. Okay, I couldn't resist sharing this with you this morning. Do you know about teddy bear hunts? I can't see you, Kristen, but I know that you probably know about these teddy bear hunts. The teddy bear hunts is a worldwide happening for children during times of COVID. So, you know, children can't go out and play with their friends, right? And they can't really, you know, gather together or any of that. So what has happened is, just through the nature of virtual reality, all across the globe, in countries all across the globe, people are putting teddy bears in the window. Teddy bears in the windows, putting teddy bears on front porches, putting teddy bears on out in the bushes, putting teddy bears on their dashboards, putting teddy bears all over the place where they can be seen. And then the children, when they go out for a walk, or maybe when mom and dad take them for a drive, they start looking to find these teddy bears. And when they find the bears, they take pictures of them. The important piece is, of course, you want to keep track of how many you find in any given day. You know, the person who counts the most, I don't know what they win, but you know, that's the goal. And then, you know, you can take little snapshots of the teddy bears and you can send them off to your friends. And then you can chat with your friends on FaceTime and talk about your teddy bear hunt for the day. How remarkable. And this is such a positive activity that how can people not grow in a positive way from this? Everything about it says, grow into the light, experience joy, be happy. This, in these times, it's happening. The shifts are happening. And you know, it won't be surprising to any of us that the children will be the ones that save us, right? That won't be a surprise to any of us. One final share, and that is that last week, Frank and I had the opportunity to go up to Ragged Point. I'm sorry, Ragged Point. Thank you. Ragged Point. And Ragged Point is on Highway 1, and I'm sure most of you know where it is. And when you get up there, the view is stunning, okay? It's stunning. You can stand on the bluff and you can literally see forever. You can't see where the ocean ends and the sky begins. They're just connected to one another. It is literally a feast for all of your senses. It's a feast for your mind. It's a feast for your body, for your spirit, for every part of you. And what I realized was that I needed this. I needed to go up there to Ragged Point, because when I stood there, I could feel my eyes like taking in more than they had in weeks. I could feel my body expand and relax because I was able to take those deep, cleansing, fresh air breaths. The feast for the eyes was incredible. The sound of the ocean, just I could close my eyes and the sound just brought me this deep sense of peace and well-being. And before we left the place, I said to Frank, I said, wait. Before we leave, I need to do something. I need to just take it all in. I need to just take it all in. And so I did that. And so I want to invite you during this time of growth. You don't have to go to Ragged Point. You don't even have to go to the ocean to have these experiences. But the idea is that this is about growth and expansion and increase. And so wherever you can go, I mean, you can stand on a hill anywhere. There are plenty of hills around here. You can stand on a hill anywhere and look out, and you can get that same feeling, that sense of expansion within you. And so my invitation is to find some place where when you look out, you feel that. You see that, you feel it in every part of you. You just feel yourself expanding. You feel your mind quiet. You feel your body, your eyes, all of that just expanding and growing, your heart opening, all senses alive. Experience that whenever you can, wherever you can. And I invite you to do what I did, which is before you leave that place where you are, take a final look and feel everything that you feel as you're taking that final look. And then close your eyes right where you are. And imagine that you've just taken a picture, and now that picture is right inside your mind. And those emotions are readily available right inside your body. And then open your eyes and take that home with you to experience again and again and again. This is an opportunity for all of us in this remarkable month of growth. Came across this poem in the Daily Word magazine from Unity. We take this and we read this along with other readings from Dr. Ernest Holmes, but I wanted to share this in closing because it's so, well, it's perfect, and we all need to hear it. It's called Right Where You Are. Right where you are. And it's written by a woman by the name of Mary Berg. And she says, be a wave in God's ocean. Be a fragment of a star. Be a lantern holding light. Be a beacon where you are. See the glory of a sunset. See the rising of the moon. See the glory and the wonder. See the beauty where you are. Hear the cry of newborn babies. Hear wind whisper in the grass. Hear thunder rumble in a rainstorm. Let your hearing hold you fast. Can you hear the glory calling? Can you see amazing grace? Can you access inner wisdom in your home, your life, your space? Prophets came to tell the story. Holy books have said it too. Life's a love-filled holy mystery. It's in me, the world, and you. So let it be, and so it is. Namaste.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Walking down the avenue, I'm gonna let it shine. Walking down the avenue, I'm gonna let it shine. Walking down the avenue, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This magnificent light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This magnificent light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This magnificent light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
So thank you, Terry. That was a really wonderful talk this morning about growth experiences and reminding us that we're all having them in spite of what's going on. I really appreciated it. Reminder to everybody that Awakening Ways continues to exist and to thrive because of you. And so your offerings to us, your love offerings, are very important. They continue to be. If you'd like to donate to Awakening Ways, and we wish you would, you can go to our website and pay by PayPal, or you can mail us a check or drop it off at the office at 7350 El Camino, Suite 102, 101 and 102, the Tascadero, 93422. A reminder that we still have lots of spaces open in our new class that's coming up. Terry and I will be teaching the Creative Life class written by Eric Butterworth. A wonderful book. It really is good. Eric Butterworth is always well worth reading, and he has some wonderful ideas. Eric was a Unity minister who made his transition in 2003, and this is one of the last books he wrote. It's going to begin on March 16th. and that's a Tuesday. It'll be an hour and a half from 6 to 7:30, and it's going to be a 6-week class that will cost $65. And a reminder, as always, we have 2 half-price scholarships available if you cannot afford the cost of the class. The book is $13.95. It's available on Amazon, and there's also a Kindle version of it available for, I think, $6.99. And again, that's starting on the 16th. So if you're going to take the class, please reply to an email, email the office, let us know that you're going to take the class, call and leave a message that you're going to take the class. Whatever you decide to do, let us know. And you can also go on that email that I sent out, and there's a PayPal button right there to pay for the class if you're planning on taking it. Also, remember that Jan Lynch is going to be teaching a 2-week class on her book, Living in the Divine Flow of Abundance. That's going to be in May. 2 weeks, it'll be a 2-week class in May, and we'll be talking a lot more about that later. She asked that you have read the book, and the book is available from her. With that, I want to thank all of you for being with us today. It was a wonderful day and a wonderful talk and wonderful music. You guys are just amazing. Jimmy, thank you for everything you've done with this music program. It's really, really, truly amazing. So I'd like you to close your eyes with this final closing benediction as we move back into that consciousness that we have been in for most of this time. And know that the blessings of growth are always with us, that each experience, no matter what the appearance may be, is an opportunity for growth if we will take it. It's this wonderful chance that we have in every moment of every day to look at the experiences we're having and know that God is in it, whether we see God in it or not. You know, with something like COVID and some of the other things that happen in our world, it's not about always finding God. It's about simply knowing that God is in it. And that is the growth experience. We are so blessed to know, to be in this teaching and to know that the divine is always there present for us. So very blessed. We are blessed by this divine experience, blessed by this opportunity to grow. We say thank you for it all. And we release it and let it go and say, and so it is.